All right, guys, what's going on? Early morning. Bit of a Pitbull fight's canceled. I just woke up about 10 minutes ago. It's 5:30 a.m. here, Saturday morning. I got a busy morning ahead. I'm going to spar today, and then right after that, I'm going to interview an Australian boxing legend, Tony Mundine, Anthony Mundine's father and CJ Mundine's grandpa. Yeah, Salcido. Omar Salcido is stepping in on late notice. All right, guys. Pitbull, Fierro is off. Fierro had to pull out, heads to the hospital. Omar Salcido steps in, late replacement. That's just unfortunate. I mean, I know some of you boys I had the Fierro Pitbull Cruz fight on a parlay. Yeah, guys, I just woke up, mate. It's been a busy week. Woo, it's cold. So, yeah, Thomas, we'll get into that. I'm just checking the breaking news right now. Wherever you're tuning in, tap in. If you haven't seen, the last upload on the channel was last night. We uploaded Diego Pacheco and Trevor McCumbee. So I want to hear your thoughts on that. I'm going to stay on for about an hour. Then, like I said, I have to spar, quickly shower, and then get ready for an interview. What I'm going to do is tell the story of Tony Mundine. Very, very powerful figure in Australian boxing. So, yeah, I'm stoked about that. Omar Salcido stepping in for Fierro. Fierro got rushed to the hospital. Let's see our parlays. I think they probably removed. Yeah, guys, I had the Pitbull fight on one of my parlays. I had the fight going the distance. Okay, we got... All right, yeah, on one of my prop bets. What does that say? How come you're not fist pumping on your picks with your buddies or even a thumbs up? What do you mean? Fist pumping with my buddy. Salcido's younger, less losses, element of surprise. Are you guys getting options to my book isn't even giving me options for the Pitbull Salcido fight. I'm probably not going to take it. They voided on your tickets too. They voided that fight, I bet. Because somebody on the live stream last week when we had a fighter pull out on our parlay was saying that they voided the entire ticket of their betting app. The fighter who pulled out, they had that fighter on their parlay, and their betting app voided the entire parlay and just put their money back in their account because one fighter pulled out last second. I'm like, that's wild. See, on my parlay, it's just void. So it just obviously changes the odds a bit. No, Dwayne Styles. Dwayne Styles, getting old is a blessing. We get old. That's what happens to us as humans. What's up, Kevo? As everyone's checking in. Guys, as you're checking in, one of our locks of the week, the fight is off. No mas. The fight is off. Angel Fierro pulls out of the fight. He was rushed to the hospital. So Pitbull stays on the card. A late replacement. Omar Salcido steps in. Marlon Prince. Yes, Salcido could crack. I'm just staying away from that fight. How good is boxing, mate? So I was up late last night researching for this interview. And I ended the live stream yesterday telling you guys. So Anthony Mundine was a two-sport athlete, a two-sport star in Australia. He was an NRL, a rugby star, and he was the middleweight champion. This guy was fighting down. We were talking about how impressive, how rare it is in boxing to actually see a fighter win titles descending, starting in a higher weight class and going down. His father fought in the 70s. His father, as a 22-year-old, fought Carlos Monzon. His father fought Benny Briscoe. His father fought some other huge names in the middle, like days when the middleweight division was just filled with killers. So Tony now is 73. I'm excited to sit down and pick his brain. I'm going to be asking him about when you watch Tony Mundine. I was watching his highlights. I can't wait to put this video together for you guys. Tony Mundine looked like Ali and how he boxed, his style, his fluidity. Beautiful boxer. He had almost 90 pro fights. I'm interested to seeing who was his coach. You know, an indigenous Australian boxer learning that technique. And then there's also the legend who came before Tony Mundine was a fighter named Lionel Rose. So I'm not only an American and boxing nerd. I love learning boxing from all around the world. And since I've been in Australia, I've been learning a lot. Did you get an autograph? No, I'm gonna. I don't do boxing fan. I'm doing that in 2 hours. I'm doing the interview later on today because it's only 5:30 in the morning my time right now. The interview is at 9 a.m. and I'm gonna go spar first. So I'm doing this for about an hour. I'm gonna go head to the gym to spar, shower, and then go to Mundine's. Thoughts on Pacquiao's decision? What's up, Thomas Piercy? Yeah, we broke that fight down. I had Pacquiao. I picked Pacquiao to beat Matias. Look, guys, I'm not mad that they gave it to Matias. Superio's a fun fighter. But I had Pacquiao up by 2 rounds. They just added Abel. I thought Abel pulled out due to an injury. I thought Abel pulled out 4 days ago. What's going on, boys? Did you guys see the photo I added in our group? Gary Antoine Russell and Subro Matias did a stare down. Please happen. That is a unification fight at 140 pounds that I really want to see. Dwayne Styles, I got Usyk, Pacheco, Bam, Cruz, but I can't pick Barrios. Okay, I love those picks, Dwayne. I love those picks. I think you boys know I'm staying away from the Pacquiao fight. Some of you guys just said that Sean Porter's picking Pacquiao. Somebody has to pick Pacquiao. Yeah, it's all right. Hey, Dwayne, there's a couple close ones on there. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, my locks, if you guys think it does locks. Usyk, Picasso, Pacheco, Bam. Manny looked weight drained. Thank you. What's up, Top Notch? Guys, at 46 years old, we could get... Where's my lock? I didn't. Oh, on one of my parlays? I think Cafu puts up a fight. Do I think Brian Norman Jr. fights Devin Haney in November? Dwayne Styles. The fight's official. They're doing promotions for it. I hope it happens. We'll see if it happens. November's a long way away, isn't it? Yeah, in this day and age of boxing, guys, we stay week to week, but it's a great question, Dwayne. I hope it happens. Bricks, haven't seen you on a live in a while. What's up? What's up, Will? Everyone's checking in. We got breaking news, guys. Angel Fierro, Pitbull Cruz fight is off. Fierro had to get rushed to the hospital. Omar Salcido steps in on late notice, saving that fight. Yeah, I saw the drug testing going back and forth. Zoo is damaged because no distance in the parlay. Yep, Salcido stepped in. Do I think Virgil beats Boots? A lot of stuff going on today, guys. So as you're checking in, I appreciate all the questions. We got everything from Pitbull's new opponent. Fierro rushed to the hospital during the weight cut. We got Omar Salcido on last second replacement. If you guys were paying attention to the channel all week, the Pitbull Cruz Fierro fight to go the distance was one of my prop bet locks of the week. So if you follow that parlay, my sportsbook app down here in Australia, the parlay is still live. It's just that bet was void. So on short, like the 11th hour, Omar Salcido steps in to replace Fierro. In this case, I was staying away from the fight in general. I'm definitely not picking the fight now. I did upload Vega. Vega, I put it. I'll go over it real quick. I didn't upload it. I went over it. Good call, Daniel. Guys, before we continue, so we are 10 minutes in. Before we continue, if you want to follow these UFC bets, we're going to keep it pretty much boxing, but Daniel Vega, I did my UFC live stream last night, and I gave you guys 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I gave you guys my 6-leg parlay. I'm going to give it to you one more time right now. We've hit UFC 2 weeks in a row. I'll also screenshot this and I'll put this in our group. I'm going to give it you one more time. So 6 fights on the UFC card, and then I'll get back to boxing. Jimmy Crute versus Pacquiao. Will the fight go the distance? No. $1.48. Adam Fugit, Islam Dulatov. Will the fight go the distance? No. $1.14. Vittori versus Allen. Will the fight go the distance? Yes. $1.39. Dan Ige on the money line. $1.51. For the upset, Paulo Costa. Let's go. Money line, $2.97. And Maxi Boy Holloway on the money line, $1.76. If you play that ticket, it's 15-1. I will post that in our group. Boston Mikey, the locks tomorrow. We already locked our boxing parlay in earlier in the week. Our boxing parlay that we locked, our locks, it's for the big bettors. This is for the guys who bet heavy. 10K gets you $6,000 in return. This is Usyk on the money line. I got him at $1.34. He's now at $1.27. This is Bam Rodriguez on the money line. This is Diego Pacheco on the money line. This is Picasso on the money line. I locked those in as my locks. I already shared that to our group. I got it on Monday at $1.61. Like I said, that's for the big bettors. You could add, I like adding Gary Russell Jr. on that if you want to sauce it up a bit. But those are my locks. And then I also gave you guys my method of victory parlays as well. I screenshot that. That's in the group. I could go over that if you guys want. Here are three of my method of victories. If you guys want to, add this to a parlay, if you want to follow it. Usyk versus Dubois, over 0.5 knockdowns. So if you're watching Usyk versus Dubois, all we need is one knockdown to hit. It's $1.44. I am then parlaying that. Diego Pacheco, Trevor McCumbee, not to go the distance, $1.31. I love that bet. And then Fedora Zoo, over 0.5 knockdowns, $1.70. So what we're doing here is we're watching Zoo and Fedora. We just need one knockdown, $1.70. We need Pacheco and McCumbee to fight to not go the distance, $1.31. We're already in plus money now. And then Usyk Dubois, we just need one knockdown, $1.44. Those odds bring me to $2.60. So 1,000 on that gets you your money back plus 1,600. I like Serenko and Lappin on the money line. Julius Armstrong and I, we don't always see eye to eye, and that's what makes this channel great. We see eye to eye on that. I like Serenko and Lappin. I think people are overthinking those two picks. I don't have them on my guarantee locks, but I have them on my fun parlay. Those are early fights. Those are going to be taking place on the Usyk Dubois undercard. Guys, we have so many fun fights. Do you like Crute on the money line? Hand History Vault in the house, always checking in. I appreciate you, buddy, supporting the channel. My problem with Jimmy Crute is, historically, he's a tough as nails guy. I don't trust him at all. If anything, it's crazy. He's still maybe only in his mid to late 20s. He came into the UFC super raw, super green. There was some buzz about him. I just don't. He's just one of those guys. I'd rather take the $1.48 for the fight to not go the distance than take either Pacquiao or Crute on the money line, because we've seen both guys. And if anything, and that's just the $1.48 for me is juicy enough, and it's a safer bet for me rather than going one way or the other on the money line. Angel pulled out, guys. Fierro had to get rushed to the hospital during his weight cut. Yeah, Julius. Julius, I think that's a smart move. Let's talk about Manny real quick. Let's see a prop bet. Nice, Goat. So, guys, Goat is posting his parlays in the community section. I have given access to our boxing group. If you guys want to post your parlays and have access on my channel, I don't know, maybe other YouTubers are doing this. I moderate my channel. Up until 2 days ago, I had the privacy on, meaning that nobody was allowed, obviously, to come on my channel and post. But as we're growing and, you know, we've added the Boxing Insider group. Guys, if you haven't joined our Boxing Insider group, you get accessibility such as this. It's a couple bucks a month. That link is in the comment section below. There's a prop. If you like a prop bet, let's talk about a prop bet on Pacquiao and Barrios, because Julius Armstrong is talking about, he already gave us his prop, the fight not to go the distance. I think that was it. I'm just seeing what the money's paying. Oh, yeah. Guys, come on. Will the fight go the distance? Pacquiao Barrios? No. $1.82. Let's go. All you got to do is watch 82-year-old Manny Pacquiao versus Barrios, and you just hope for the stoppage one way or the other. $1.82. This is like the odds. This is like the odds I got for Joshua Kelly at $1.90 to knock out Flavio Bea at $1.90. I went heavy. That 10 grand would get you 9 grand on $1.90. Mario Barrios versus Pacquiao, the fight not to go the distance, $1.82, guys. Let's go. I love those odds. Dare I, that fight, come on. $1.82 to not go the distance. I already have that on a ticket. You think he has enough experience? Guys, he's 46 years old, guys. It's hard for me. Yeah, it's hard for me to see that fight going the distance. So, David, what are the odds for it going the distance? What's the reverse bet? Which it could happen too. So, if you boys, the point of this option is to look at both sides. So, if you boys disagree that that fight's going to get stopped at $1.82, go the other way. Say that it's going to go the distance. Barrios split plus 1,000. I don't hate that. David plus, dude, I don't hate that either, guys. So why I say I love the fight not to go the distance, I could equally be as excited for it to go the distance. You know what I'm saying? That's how you guys get your leeway and leverage on which one to take. I'm coming at it from a value perspective. High interest. Thank you, brother. Thanks for supporting me always, brother. High interest, always supporting the channel. I appreciate you checking in. Guys, wherever you're checking in, whether you're subscribing, whether you're liking, whether you're commenting, whether you're supporting the channel like High Interest, whether you're joining Johnny Says Boxing Insider Group to get all these extra perks, however you support the channel and our growth, we're building a community here of boxing minds. We don't always have to agree on everything, but over time you guys will see that you guys could speak up, give your opinion as well. And there's a lot of people who will acknowledge it. Pacquiao look uncomfortable. Guys, Pacquiao's 46, guys. Come on. I don't want to see this fight. Yeah, I don't want to see Pacquiao at 46 fight. It's not that I'm not a fan of Pacquiao. He's 46. He skipped, like, come on, dude. And then, yeah, Pitbull. CG Boxing Bets. What's up, brother? I appreciate you supporting the channel. Guys, like I said, however you... That's awesome, man. I appreciate what you do as well. What Julius said, I don't think... Is Julius that far off track here with the comment? Pitbull's fame and sort of star. Is there another example? I mean, we have examples as of late of fighters star rising due to either a loss or due to taking a champion the decision. And when you have a guy like Tank, historically knockout artist, you'd remove the Roach fight, the draw. Tank, I think, had knocked out every opponent except 2. I don't have my stats in front of me, something like that. And one of those opponents that he didn't knock out was Pitbull. And Pitbull ran with it in the fan, and he became kind of like, that's his aura. So, yeah. Something similar is going down with McCumbee. In my breakdown of McCumbee Pacheco, no one's brought this up on the stream yet, this fight, is McCumbee's another one. He got stopped against Plant, but because how he fought, McCumbee buzzed Plant early, and then he dropped Plant in the 4th, and then McCumbee eventually got stopped, I think, in the 9th. But because of how he fought, he's getting another opportunity against Diego. Now, it's a tough fight for McCumbee, but it's another example in boxing that you don't have to win anymore these days to potentially be lifted in more opportunities. Now, do I think McCumbee's going to go in there and beat Diego? I don't think so. I think Diego is that dude. Every time I do film study on Diego Pacheco, I'm left thinking like, wow, this guy, I know he's only 24, and people were in the comment section below, people, if you don't like cheering for, if you guys are boxing fans for certain fighters, people will always find ways to diminish either your skill set, your resume, whatever it may be. And one of the things I was seeing about Pacheco, they're talking about, oh, Pacheco hasn't fought anybody. I'm like, at 24 years old, Pacheco stopped Sulecki. We know what we've recently just seen Sulecki get back on the winning track and win by knockout. When he fought Steven Nelson, granted, he had never gotten a main huge fight. Steven Nelson was still an undefeated guy, well documented, Bud Crawford's training partner. And then also the Manny Gallegos. I know Gallegos just got stopped against Coe, but Gallegos was coming off of a stoppage victory over Khalil Coe, and people were really high on Khalil Coe. And so I actually like the way Diego has been maneuvered. His handlers have brought him along in a very, the 168-pound division, based on the size, there's you don't see a lot of younger dudes in that division. It's a weight class in which, guys are pretty much in their man phase, for the lack of better terms, is what I'm trying to say. So I think at 24 years old, with the 6'4" frame, I think a 78, 79-inch reach, Diego Pacheco, for me, is an exciting contender. This fight, depending on who, Pacheco beats McCumbee, you got to think he either gets propelled to a title eliminator fight or, because everyone's saying Shiraz versus Canelo. I want to see Shiraz versus Pacheco, dude. Like, Shiraz is 26, Diego's 24. Shiraz already got his business done with Edgar. Pacheco needs to, stay focused and beat McCumbee, but come on. Pacheco Mabili. Told you Pharaoh was too fat. You did, Zach. Zachary Scott checking in. Do any of your betting apps allow you to bet on will a fighter pull out? Because if you guys are historically good at being able to predict stuff like that, why not? I would never bet on them. That's when we're really getting into dare I say, quote unquote, degenerate gambling, when folks are betting on fighters pulling out. But like, for instance, one of the boys brought up, Haney. I was just gonna say that, Pedro. One of the boys pulled up, I think it was DJ or Dwayne, either DJ or Dwayne, said that, do you think the Norman Jr. versus Devin Haney fight will actually go down? It's in November. I mean, could you imagine if you could bet on that? I wouldn't bet on it. Thurman, hot take. Thurman stops Boots. Julius, Tim Zoo's been down 6 times in his career. Tim got no D. Yeah, Tim got dropped against Gachet. He got dropped in a domestic fight in Australia in 2019, I think. Do you think Pacquiao can knock out Barrios? Handy stops. Romeo Johnny, who you got? Heaven Sent. Who you got in the main and co-main? Heaven Sent in the house. Heaven Sent, there's multiple cards. Which main and co-main? We got Vegas. We got Frisco, Texas. And we got Wembley Stadium. So what main and co-main? Are we talking Usyk Dubois? Are we talking Zoo versus... Okay, there we go. Pac versus Barrios one. We could get to that. Guys, if you haven't checked my breakdown, prediction, and analysis of all these fights, go on my channel, find playlist, and click on Fight Predictions. That's where you'll see my Stats Don't Lie videos, the edited, uninterrupted 10-plus minute breakdowns where I do the film study. I briefly show you the path to victory for both guys and give you my opinion. Let's talk about the 2 fights I was just asked about. Barrios versus Pacquiao fight card, the main event. Fundora versus Zoo. I broke that fight down all week. You know, up until I rewatched Zoo versus Murtazaev and Fundora versus Cordell Booker, and then Fundora versus Zoo again. I was leaning on Fundora. I was. And then I rewatched everything. I reasoned with myself, and I'm picking Tim Tszyu to win the fight. So that's not that. By no means is that a lock, but I like Tim Tszyu to beat Fundora. And then to be brief, because I got a lot of questions coming in, Barrios versus Pacquiao. I'm not betting on that fight. I don't like the fight. I don't like seeing a 46-year-old living legend come back after. And it's not like Pacquiao was a guy in his prime who fought a cautious way. Pacquiao was a warrior, dude. Pacquiao took so much damage. Pacquiao relied on his athleticism, his speed, his reflexes, his grit, his durability. And we know all of those sort of fast twitch reflexes as athletes, those are the first things to leave as we get older. It's not like he's a 46-year-old George Foreman who's a heavyweight power puncher. We know as men, as we get older, the last thing to leave is power. You carry that with you longer. So I'm not happy about watching Manny Pacquiao versus Mario Barrios. And say what you will about Mario Barrios. Barrios is a 30-year-old legit world champion. And he's 6 feet tall, too. And I think he can punch a little bit better than people give him credit for. Rewatch the Abel Ramos fight. I mean, I remember watching Abel Ramos Barrios thinking that it was a dud, but when I rewatched it, it was more exciting than I thought it was. Willy Wonka. Angel Fierro has pulled out of the fight due to medical reasons. If you guys are late catching this, Angel Fierro was rushed to the hospital. Pitbull is still fighting on the card. Late last second replacement, Omar Sacido. He almost dropped Barrios. Yeah, he did. And if my memory's no, I thought didn't Barrios have to drop? Did Barrios drop Ramos late? Heaven Sent. What's up, buddy? What did we disagree on? Fundora or Pacquiao? Paulie was hating on Barrios. Paulie, come on, man. Word. So what happens with the bet? So Jarnell Wilkinson, great question. I covered this. If you guys have the Fierro versus Pitbull fight on your parlay like I did, I had the prop bet I really liked on Fierro Pitbull was the fight not to go the distance. What my sports book does is just voids that fight, but the ticket is still live, and the odds will just decrease. But I heard recently that some of you guys, the betting apps, what might also happen is that the entire ticket might get voided, and you should get your money back. Joseph, the lock is, and that's $1.80, guys. Joseph in the house checking in. His lock is the fight not to go the distance, which I love. Pacquiao Barrios, which I love. I didn't break the fight down. That's what I remembered more. Yeah, that's how I remember Barrios. So it was Barrios dropped in the 6th. Ramos was dropped in the 2nd. It was a much more exciting fight than I remembered. How many 46-year-olds want to fight at 47? I mean, that might be a zero. Oh, how many 46-year-olds have won a fight at 47, not just a world title? I don't know, because there's a lot of obscure boxing going on. I mean, I just found out that Ike Abeyabuchi had a fight a couple weeks ago. And Ike Abeyabuchi was one of the most feared heavyweights in the late 90s, and he went to prison for 20 plus years. Watch Ike Abeyabuchi versus David Tua. And my point is, to answer your question, how many fighters at 46 years old have won a fight at 147 in the last 20 years? I mean, you got to answer no, but maybe, I mean, to B-Hop? Maybe Hopkins, but it doesn't happen. Maybe, has it ever happened? Maybe once or twice on the world-class level? Because 147 is not a division that you see 40-year-olds really excelling in. I mean, didn't Fury recently win at 50? Didn't Fury recently win at 55? So, Donaire's 42 years old, though. Donaire just beat Andres Campos in Argentina. Donaire was 42, my age, 43. Pulev versus Char. Pulev mid-40s. Pulev's a heavyweight. He said at 147. Yeah, maybe Hopkins was a little bit bigger. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking off. I can't recall. It doesn't happen all the time. That should be the answer. It's very rare, especially at. Nervous twitch. And it's cold out here, goat. It's like my winter. It's freezing out here. John Pascal Hopkins is one at the age of 46. P.O. was at 75. Okay, yeah, so 47. Guys, no one's talking about... You guys asked all week about Figgy versus Jowett. No one brought it up. Are you guys still high on that? What happens if Daniel beats Usyk? Does Daniel become the best heavyweight in the world? Huh. He has a puncher's chance. Does Daniel become the best? It's a good question. I like Manny Robles, though. Manny Robles is a kind of one of my favorite trainers that doesn't get a lot of pub. I think I have a prop, that fight to go the distance. No. Yeah, Omar Saucedo's stepping in. So telephone booth fight. We know they're both tough. We know about Figueroa's hand speed. Guys, I just can't get past how bad Figueroa looked against Fulton. I know the opposite to that is Fulton's, maybe it was more me selling Fulton short. I think partially Figueroa, whenever a fighter looks bad and has a dud performance, sometimes we could rush to judgment and blame it all on the fighter, and we could overlook who was standing across from him. Stephen Fulton, world class. Jarnell Wilkerson. My complete money line parlay. I'll give it to you one more time. Yeah, I like overs on Figueroa. They're not giving to you. Okay, that's a fun method of victory parlay. That's another. I have a couple method of victory parlays. Here's a money line parlay we put together. If you guys, you can follow this lead. This money line parlay I shared in our Boxing Insider group. This one pays $221, so it's plus money. I got Sorenko on the money line at $1.15. I got Lappin on the money line at $1.23. Maxayo at $1.15. These are all money lines. Gary Russell Jr., Picasso, Pacheco, and Bam. Let's go. Come on, dude. What are you talking about? 10,000 gets you 20K? Let me read that to you again. Dare I say these are all locks, but I love this. Sorenko, Lappin, Maxayo, Russell, Picasso, Pacheco, Bam. All on the money line. $2.05. Let's go. That's exactly what happened, Mar. That's exactly what happened, Mar. He's right. I was kind of a victim of that. I thought it was where I fell short with Fulton versus Figgy because they had fought before. I was going into that rematch as a 50-50 fight. I did not. Was it safe to say that that Fulton? I didn't think Fulton had it in him at that stage of his career to level up. He did, and I thought Figueroa looked awful. And we spoke about it. I always speak about it when you guys bring up Figueroa, the Figueroa brothers. I think it like Omar Figueroa versus Abel Ramos. It was a fight that leaves you scratching your head. You're like, what is Omar Figueroa doing? Brandon Figueroa versus Stephen Fulton. It's the same thing. Those two performances by Omar and Brandon, in my opinion, were like, they either were, it was just so bizarre. It was bizarre. I don't bet on Ammo Williams. You guys, the last few comments are talking about Ammo. I bet on Ammo the fight against Patrice Volney, and I went heavy on it, and we won money on it. But I got to be honest with you, watching that fight, Patrice Volney was the better boxer. I thought that fight could have gone to Patrice, but we know Ammo was the A side, and I was like, this is an athlete. Ammo's a great athlete, but he's not a guy I'm betting on moving forward. And that is Mark. That is my point. And I love when fighters who get. This is why we love boxing, though. When people you watch a fighter who fights like they're getting doubted. You know what I mean? Fulton fought. He carried himself, and you watch him during that fight week during Figueroa. When you rewatch back his interviews and what he was saying, the reason why we love boxing is because every now and then you see a fighter, an older fighter, a veteran, a guy who's maybe been a world champion who's lost before, and he fights like that. He fights like he's being overlooked, and he puts on this exceptional performance. And that's legacy defining stuff for that fighter. You know what I mean? Because no matter what happens moving forward, that performance will never be taken away from that fighter. And we see talking about Fulton in this instance, but we can list off time and time again us seeing this, and then that becomes part of their legacy. And that's what's beautiful about the sport, is that from a fighter's perspective, no matter how bumpy that road has been, no matter how many times you've lost or been stopped, or what that road has looked like prior to that fight in front of you, you have the opportunity to turn it all around with one performance. It's why I always say in my Stats Don't Lie videos, what have you done for me lately? Because no matter how, like you asked, I mean, Dubois versus Usyk, it works both ways as well. No matter how dominant you've been, no matter how untouchable you've been, we know how unforgiving boxing is. We know how brutal the sport is. You could be this undefeated guy, this knockout artist guy, this feared guy, and you could show up and get knocked out, and then boom, that's all the people remember until you fight again. So it works both ways. That's why we love our sport. It's such a beautiful thing. It's very romantic in that sense, of, in the moments. If you, without getting too philosophical, if you understand the philosophy existentialism is the idea of, living in the moments, the existing of the right now. All that matters, the past is an illusion, the future is an illusion. The only thing that matters is this moment right now. So all of your decision making, all of your intention, all your focus is right in front of you. That's boxing. That's round by round. That's second by second. That's slip for slip. That's jab. That's decision making. It's amazing. Woo! Got me. Now I'm up. Let's go. Guys, we're 40 minutes in. This live chat is going between 50 and 70. Can we like this video? 25 people. That's depressing. 25 likes we got to get that up. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, do that. Join our Insider Boxing group. Look on this chat. You see the boys with the blue stars? They get access to different functions on my channel. They get perks. They get access to different parlays. If you it's a couple bucks a month. I think it's $1 a week. It supports me out. It helps me out. It helps the channel grow. But it also gives another level. It gives you guys a membership to my channel. And those features, YouTube is allowing me to introduce more features week to week. I still don't know how to like the PJ. We're just happy you're here, brother. So, Bam, anybody taking the dog in the Rodriguez-Cafu fight? because there's definitely a conversation to be had. Even though Bam is one of my locks, the South African undefeated South African's coming to fight. Yeah, PJ, that's why I have Bam. I think Bam is going to shine once again. But I've watched people on their breakdowns. It's so interesting to see. What I really find value in is how American content creators who live in America break fights down versus how Brits who break fights down. And I don't even know where you could categorize what I do, meaning that I do my best to just be authentic in my approach, not being predictable. My point is, when I'm watching the Brits break down fight matchups, they're almost always predictable on what country they choose, who's going to win, and definitely in America. If you're watching the big American content creators, you could always almost guarantee they're never going to pick a certain side to win, and that's where I find it predictable. I'm like, it's pretty funny. But I've seen some of the guys giving Cafu a chance. Cafu has a chance. I think it's going to be one of those fights where Cafu's pride and his sort of fearlessness, this is why we love the sport, is going to be used against him. I think Bam Rodriguez is, like you said, a generational talent. And I'm always cautious to kind of herald a 25-year-old with those sort of accolades. But at 25 in this weight class, he's more like 30 in terms of how 25-year-olds in the lighter weight classes are moved along. He's already won world titles at 12. He's already won world titles at 15. You take how he goes about his business, his fight IQ. One of my favorite things about Bam, and we could talk about his footwork, we could talk about his angle changes, we could talk about his power, we could talk about his body punching. But the body punching for me is how he uses his body attack. For me is the top tier for me, which why I like watching. I love body punchers, Virgil Ortiz. I love guys who seek out ripping the body. But one of my favorite things about Bam, just rewatch his last fight, watch the fight before. He will fight at his opponent's pace. He will match and mirror you in terms of your output. And then the minute he starts seeing any sign that you're starting to sort of wane or not like an aspect of the fight, he turns it up and just enters another gear. And then if he sees you hurt, he goes into another gear. And you don't really see that a lot. You know, there's a term for it, going through the gears in boxing. And then when you watch the guy's career highlights, you could see that happening, evolving through a career, said fighter going through the gears and evolving. But to actually have an optic within a fight that the fans can see the fighter doing this with different speeds of his punches and different, energy levels through a fight, it's very impressive to see. It's very fun to watch. Yeah, Cafu is gonna. I mean, the minute Cafu allows Bam to definitely, depict where that footwork battle is going to take place. The minute Cafu resigns to the fact that he's going to stay either in the corner or up against the ropes or even in front of Bam and exchange with him, I do like a knockdown prop bet, but I have Bam on the money line as well on a separate bet. There's over-unders. Me too. Money Meech, 100%. Money Meech, that's an important fact that I feel that needs to be rewritten in this current era of boxing fans, this current new era of social media content creators, how they spin these narratives when a fighter gets dropped and they call him chinny. Somehow along the line, it used to be when a fighter gets dropped and he gets up and he wins the fight, he's tough as nails. That used to be a narrative of saying, wow, said fighter, he could fight being the hammer, but he could also fight being the nail. Meaning that there's some fighters who could only be on top, and when they start facing adversity in a fight, they don't have it within them to come back and win a fight. We talk about it. Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's a perfect example of this. Teddy Atlas speaks about it ad nauseum about how Mike Tyson's 0-5, how he says Mike Tyson never won a fight. I'm not saying you don't have to agree with that. I don't think Teddy really meant what he said 0-5, but his point has a lot of truth to it. to where every time Tyson was faced with real adversity in a fight, he quit on a stool multiple times. But when he would jump out on a big lead and just wash a guy, he looked amazing. That used to be a narrative. Bam Rodriguez getting dropped. Naoya Inoue getting dropped. Abdullah Mason getting dropped. All getting off of the canvas. Virgil Ortiz getting dropped. All getting off the canvas and fighting out of that hole. You're already in a 10-8 hole. You're already in a 10-8 hole with the round. Not everybody get picked. Look what happened to Dubois psychologically when that was called a low blow. Look what happened to Liam Wilson psychologically when he thought he beat Emmanuel Navarrete in the fight in Mexico, and that was a long count. So psychologically, when a fighter gets dropped, not everybody has it within them to build themselves up within the round, let alone within the fight, and come back and win the fight. So to put an exclamation point on the comment that you said you love seeing Bam get dropped, get his jaw broken, and still come back and win fights, same. That is a huge attribute to a fighter being world-class. Boacek got robbed against Ortiz. What a close fight. What a great stylistic matchup. Salvador Pineda, the link is pinned in this live stream. The link is on my channel. Just it says join. Dude, Boacek versus Virgil was such a fun fight. And I wish that Boacek had more, a better, I don't know who's promoting him. The last time we saw Boacek was on one of those Long Beach Fight Night cards. He fought Michael Fox. He kind of fought down to his opponent. I don't know if that was him just kind of, getting rounds in. He came in overweight. I think he fought at 158 or 159. We know Michael Fox was a 147er to come up. A lot of people thought Boacek should have got him out of there. But, it's a great example of how styles make fights. Michael wasn't going to stand in front of Boacek and give him the fight that Virgil gave him. And I guess that's a smart game plan. And the thing about Michael is Michael's a coach as well. So he is a smart fighter. He knows how to maneuver in there. Believe it or not, Zoo brought Michael down here to Australia, to Sydney. TJ in the house. What's up, buddy? Fight, I want Virgil versus Tim. Same. So we got chill boxing in the house. TJ, dude, Tim versus Virgil. Virgil's one of my favorite guys to watch. I'll watch Virgil fight in a street fight. You know what I mean? They say Virgil's going to do a street fight, or I go to Texas somewhere, there's a bar little tussle. I could watch Virgil fight every night of the week. He's one of my favorite fighters, like I said earlier. I love body punchers. I love guys who invest in the body. I love front forward guys, and he's just a dog. Watch every time that Virgil got stunned, didn't really get hurt. Watch every time Virgil got stunned against Boacek, just clipped. Watch his body language, how he would just pick himself up and get right back on that game plan, get right back on that front foot like it was nothing, almost trying to erase the optic in the judges' and fans' eyes in the moment that we didn't see what we just saw. And he would use that in the optic that he created. This is a big thing of boxing that that goes kind of unspoken about, is the importance and relevance in body language once a fighter gets dropped. Because you still have 3 judges and you still have a fight depending on where that getting dropped happens in a fight. And Virgil, when rewatch how he carried himself against Boacek. That dude, he's a throwback fighter, man. He comes from a different cloth. To see him fight Tim Zub stylistically, come on. It's really hard for me to look past Zub versus Fundora in terms of even trying to say, Joe, it ain't been dropped to my knowledge. I've watched him. Yeah, to put a bookend on that, I agree with TJ on that. I'd love to see that. We got to see what Tim looks like against Fundora. And one of your other comments, it's shocking that Virgil hasn't been a full world champion yet. I mean, Virgil is 26, 27 now. He still has time. We know he was overcoming some health issues. We know about rhabdo. We know about his inactivity just a couple years ago at 47, shrinking himself to make that weight. He looks better at 54. He's been more active. I think Virgil, once he gets all of that sorted, which I think he's gotten sorted, look at his most recent performances. The Madrimov fight, man, he's fun to watch. He's one of my favorite fighters. Super fun to watch. But Joe Alexander and Figgy, that's a fight that we brought up earlier on the chat. Personally, you guys know my stance. After watching Figueroa versus Fulton, I don't bet on Figueroa. I've spoken about it ad nauseum. Omar Figueroa versus Abel Ramos, they've kind of screwed me. He's always in close fights. Expect Shakur, but that was Core 26. Nobody was such a. Yeah, he wasn't. He had pop there too. Did I miss something with Shakur? Oh, Joe has never taken so much punishment. Yeah. Yeah, Shakur, I think, since we're talking about Shakur, I think he's put a lot of silence to some of his doubters. His last performance was great. Joe, guys, we are approaching 50 minutes. Saucedo's stepping in to fight Pitbull. Fierro is out. That news was breaking a couple hours ago. Also, Ammo Williams has a new opponent. I'm not betting on that fight. I'm not that high on Ammo in terms of he's fun to watch. For me to put money on a fighter, I have to kind of trust the fighter. You had Zepeda winning 4 to 5 rounds. There were a lot of close rounds next gen. Yeah, 8-4. 8-4 seems right. In terms of what Zepeda looked like and what Shakur looked like, 10-2 seems really wide. 8-4 seems right. But like anything closer to 8-4, like some guys are saying Zepeda got robbed 7-5, should have been this, should have been that. I disagree with that. I think 8-4 seems right, and 10-2 just based off of Zepeda's spirit just doesn't sit right with me either. We're approaching an hour, guys. Stay tuned to the channel. Like this video. Hit subscribe. If you haven't become an insider, do that for me now. I have to get going. I have sparring, and then I'm interviewing Tony Mundine. Tony Mundine is an indigenous Australian legend. He is the father of Anthony Mundine. Tony Mundine, when he was 23 years old, flew from an indigenous community here in Sydney, Australia, to fight Carlos Monzon in Buenos Aires, Argentina. He was flying on planes to Paris, fighting guys like Benny Briscoe. Tony Mundine is 72 now. I'm interviewing him. I'm going to tell his story. One of my favorite things about what I do is learning. So it's just shocking to me, even in Australia, that people aren't aware of what he's meant to the boxing game. I'm going live one more time today. I appreciate Boxing Fan here. TJ, I don't go up. Yeah. When TJ speaks, I listen too, man. TJ knows what he's talking about. Guys, if you want to post your parlays, do it. Goat, post your parlay, and then when you post it, Goat, tag me in it so I get that notification. I want to see your picks. Good luck to everybody. I'm going to be going live when I get back from the interview, and let's go.